before we get to the fun stuff like with the ring, I just want to get your take on the commodity market in general and what you're hearing from your guys. Are we in a super cycle here, or are we going to have to top out at some point?
Yeah, so I think if we are in a super cycle, it's the foothills of a super cycle. You're seeing some pandemic-led recovery, rebound. You're certainly seeing stocks being drawn down from our warehouses, as you would probably expect. But I don't think I'm fully yet sold on there being that multi-year story, which would be necessary for a super cycle. But certainly with the green revolution, with the importance, particularly as you mentioned there, of copper, you could see it happening.
Why do we need a few people in London shouting at each other to set the price of what is a globally important commodity that is going to be pivotal to the electrification trade?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think up until March of last year, the answer was because we weren't certain that we could do our metals pricing on the basis of a purely electronic system. We do have a pretty complex market. We have all those daily dates. And I think if you asked me pre-March 2020, I would have said because I'm genuinely not convinced that we can do it. Now, of course, the pandemic forced us to do it. And so we stand here now a lot more confident that we can do electronic pricing because we've been doing it for the last 14 months. And that's why we went out in January of this year and we did propose exactly what you're discussing there, which is let's stay electronic. We've shown we can do it. Let's stay electronic. But we heard a really diverse and balanced set of voices, many of whom on the financial side said, yeah, we totally agree with that. But on the physical side, the people who use these prices in their physical supply contracts, some of them did say to us, look, we really like what the ring brings us. And that's why we've ended up with something of a compromise.
Yeah, I've never been there, by the way, which needs to be rectified. Okay, well, what about some of your other shareholders here, stakeholders, like hedge funds, banks? Tell me about what they thought about this deal.
Yeah, so we are quite fortunate at the LME that we have two sets of prices. We have our official prices at lunchtime, and they're usually mainly used by the physical community, and our closing prices at 5 p.m., and they're mainly used by the financial community. So our friends in the investment world who tell us, and I believe them, that they will do more business on our exchange if we can modernize, if we can become more electronic, they in general are quite excited about the fact we're going to keep those closing prices electronic because that's what they interact with and they love being able to trade them on the screen. Whereas our physical users, because they're mainly using their lunchtime prices, they've said to us, look, LME, we're really grateful that you've kind of gone back to the ring, or you will go back to the ring on the 6th of September, because we like and trust what's happened there for 140 years. So I kind of hope that we've managed to get that balance.
Where do the firms that use the ring, that participates, where does the LME make most of its money? Is it off the latter or is it off the former? And does coming up with this hybrid solution kind of end up not providing anybody with kind of what they ultimately need?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And so I think for the end users, I think this does give them what they need because they generally fall into the financial or the physical bucket. So their particular prices will be catered for what they're looking for. I think your question really goes to our Cat 1 dealers, our ring dealing members, who have been such an important part of maintaining stability in operations during this period. And what we have to deliver is a solution that works for them. Now, obviously, they're going to have to look at their own business models. It's not for me to speak for them. But what I really hope is that they will see an opportunity here to adapt a little bit their business models, to innovate, to maybe have teams who trade on the ring for most of the day and then go into their offices just next to the ring and do the closing prices there electronically. So there is going to have to be some adaptation. But I really hope that this offers our Category 1 members, our ring dealing members, an economic model that works for them because they are so crucial for how our market works.